Live from the 607, it is the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking sports locally and nationally. Why don't you join in the conversation with the hashtag ODPH? Here we go. And welcome back to another edition of the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. I am your host, Ken M., and sitting across from me this week, rocking the Syracuse colors, is the one and only sound guy galore, JR.
Oh, you know I'm right here.
Oh, we know you're right here, and we'll be talking about that mighty Cuse win in just a minute. But we can't leave out the one and only intern himself, Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
Who is in my boat. Our brackets are up in smoke. Folks, hit us up, hashtag ODPH. We're going to kick off this show talking a little Final Four action. And dare I say to the panel, have we ever had a tournament that had this many upsets this early?
No, and here's the big-name teams and big seed teams that are currently bounced from the tournament. You had number 1 seed Virginia, which we'll get into that in a minute.
Number one overall seed.
Yeah.
Number 4 seed Arizona. Number 6 seed Miami, number 2 seed Cincy, number 3 seed Tennessee, Xavier, North Carolina, Michigan State, just to mention a few. And I saw a tweet over the weekend. This is from David Warlock on Twitter. Username is the same. Quote, in the history of the tournament, there has never, I repeat, never been a region that has featured none of the top 4 seeds in the Sweet 16 until now. That would be the South region in Atlanta. And it will feature Kentucky, Loyola, Chicago, Nevada, and Kansas State.
Incredible to think about.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You guys didn't have that in your bracket?
Oh, no, we didn't.
Let me check. Yeah, no.
No, as we said on last week's show, and Daniel John was in my boat, we went all in on Arizona, and boy, did we ever pay for that one. Buffalo showed up, and they played out of their minds in that game.
I was good until North Carolina lost. Like my Final Four, like all these upsets are going like, they hurt, but none of them were in my Final Four, my championship round. North Carolina one kind of tagged me because I got them in the championship game.
Well, I tell you what, Texas A&M they were so dominant in the paint that Carolina just had 3-point shots, or that was it.
Yeah,
I mean, they really cut them off down low, and Texas Tech just grinded them out. And I mean, I did not see that one coming. I figured Carolina was going to lose the next round, but hey, hats off to Texas A&M. But dare I say, was there any bigger upset than UMBC over Virginia?
No, biggest upset in college basketball history ever.
Yeah, without question. It's the first time a 16 has beat a 1. We've had a couple 15s beat a 2. I didn't see this one going down this week, or this tournament, rather. I'm still in shock about it. As you can tell, I can't even talk straight. JR, what is your thoughts on that game?
That wasn't getting beat. That was getting embarrassed. The number 1 overall seed in the tournament, and they get blown out, absolutely blown out.
They got mauled.
Shout out to the Retrievers, by the way. That's their mascot. I didn't even know until we were watching until we were actually watching the game. So that became my instant favorite, aside from Cuse.
A lot of people's favorites.
So pretty much right after that, we recorded the show. We went over our picks, and my bracket caught instant fire after that one. So Final Four team right out the door. See ya.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot, Virginia.
That whole game was crazy because, Ken, I know you and I were hanging out that night the game was going on, and I said to you at one point when I got the notification that they were tied at halftime, and we couldn't believe it. And then I was heading home listening to the game on the radio, and I was like, oh, you need to turn this game on right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible to hear because, I mean, you figure they're going to play. I mean, any team that's in the tournament is going to show up and play, you would think.
Yeah.
And especially a lower seed because they're kind of playing with house money.
They got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Exactly. And, you got to give credit to UMBC because they went in there and they beat the number 1 overall seed who is known for the best defense in the tournament. And they beat them by 20 outright.
And they, Virginia was 31-3 on the season, so they're not exactly slouches. They're not exactly playing cupcakes. They're going through the grind.
ACC tourney title, 30-3. Just saying.
The pedigree's there, but UMBC, who won by a tournament bid to get in, they showed that they wanted to be there and they wanted it that much more. That's the great thing about the tournament. Is you have teams that will rise to the occasion. And I'm not saying Virginia overlooked them. I don't think they did. I just think that UMBC was a better team that night because even when Virginia was doing the press late in the second half, UMBC was running through it.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I've had a feeling we were closer than in decades past the last couple of years, because I know there's been a couple of games the last couple of years where it's been close at halftime, or the low seed team's been up by 1 or 2 at halftime, but then the 1 seed will usually turn it around and pull it out. So the last couple of years I felt it's been closer than in the past, but I didn't think it'd be this year. I mean, I'm looking at the stats. Virginia field goals made against field goals attempted 23 of 56, 4 of 22 from 3.
Yeah.
Like, I know I told you when we were watching the game, Ken, Virginia couldn't hit a shot in the ocean if they were standing on the pier.
No, absolutely not. And it was just, it's one of those weird things about the tournament that you just have a team that rises up to the occasion. I mean, it wasn't a late minute shot like Loyola Chicago has been doing, the cardiac kids of the tournament.
Yeah.
Who, I mean, they have something on their side. I don't know, but they are pulling off wins left and right, and now they're in the Sweet 16, I believe, first time ever.
Something like that, yeah.
I think they might be, but beating Miami and then beating Tennessee at a last-minute shot, too. I mean, it's one thing that just makes the tournament just that much great. They're much better. I mean, for me it is, just as a fan standpoint, because like I say, when you get on the court, it's a whole different ballgame than when your rankings are.
Well, and it goes back to something I know we said. I don't know if we ever said it on air, but I know we said it to each other, that it just goes back to the regular season where you had all these high-ranked teams going down because nobody seemed to want to take the number 1 overall ranking and run with it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Jay?
I'm thinking who so far is your biggest underdog in this tournament that's still going?
That's still going?
Still going.
Loyal.
There's one answer. It's Cuse.
I will not.
They weren't even supposed to be in this tournament. We talked about it. I said it. Y'all said it. We all laughed. And now here we are, Jim Boeheim, working that zone magic in the Sweet 16 against Duke.
I will say,
there you go.
If Syracuse could hit their shots, especially from the 3 points land stripe, they could get in there and they could do some damage. And they've found a way to do it. I mean, you gotta give their hats off to it. But I was very surprised they beat Michigan State. Like, that was the one that I was kind of going, wow. That was probably the most impressive. I figured they would have a good shot against TCU and against Arizona State. I mean, obviously it's a play-in game, so you're kind of equally matched there. But I just thought that when they beat Michigan State, that was showing something.
You better be scared.
Especially Tom Izzo.
Especially
Tom Izzo in the tournament. Tom Izzo steps it up in the tourney usually.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, his team, I honestly said at last week's show that the winner of Duke-Michigan State was going to run with it. And I still think Duke is going to run away with Syracuse. I think they're going to blow them out of the gym.
Oh, listen.
I'll say it.
Yeah, but no, not a chance. It's not going to be a blowout.
We will see Friday. We will see.
Take that ugly Krzyzewski jersey off. We're not in Duke land. Come on.
Oh, no, we are always in Duke land.
We're in the land of the orange, baby.
I get the feeling the game is going to be close until the Duke starting 5 go, oh, wait, that's right, we're Duke, and just start nailing everything like they're Steph Curry.
No, because I think what Coach K is going to do is he's going to tell that team, hey, everybody else is taking cues for granted. We're not going to do that. And I think he's game planning the minute that they saw Syracuse won about ways to beat them. And I think Coach K is going to do it. I'm not saying it's just because I'm a Duke fan. I just think that Syracuse has had a nice run, but I don't see him going all the way with it.
No.
I could be wrong. Hey, I've been wrong about other picks in this bracket. What's one more? But,
I mean, given how this tournament is going, literally anything is possible.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, like we said, it's the great thing about the tourney is you just don't know. I mean, we do have an upset here and there, but I just can't remember for the life of me that there has been this many upsets this early.
No.
Across the board.
Yeah, you'll usually have a Cinderella or two that they'll make it to the Sweet 16, Elite 8. Won't really make it that far. But this feels, and I know my brother even messaged me. He goes, I feel like he said the same thing. We're saying I feel like there's a lot more upsets than usual.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that just shows that there's more parity in the college basketball game. That I think that you don't have you do have your powerhouses that are always going to be your perennial favorites, but I think the lesser known schools are getting quality teams.
Yeah, and for me, this is more exciting than seeing and no offense to any of these teams, your Dukes, your Kentuckys, your Kansases, your Michigan States, as cool as it is to see them in the big game and what have you. It's nice to see these lower seeded teams kind of play spoiler, and you're not seeing the tournament play out the way you're used to seeing. Where Michigan State's there again. Kansas is there again. We got the same teams in the Elite 8 again.
Yeah, I mean, you still have your powerhouses in there. I mean, you still have Villanova's in there. You still have Kentucky, and you still have Duke.
And you're all still laughing at my Texas Tech pick.
Yes, I am
Yes.
laughing because can you still name a
Boom.
player or coach on that team?
Not a one, but baby, they're still holding that bracket strong. I mean, it is keeping me warm in my home, the little fire that it has, because it's completely off. But Texas Tech is still hanging in there. There you go.
Yeah.
Florida, who? I told you that, man. I told you. You
Ugh.
got to watch them. You got to watch them. And they laid the wood to them.
They won by 3. I don't think that was
That's
Lansing.
called laying the wood, especially because it was supposed to be a big blowout. They weren't even supposed to win. I'm riding them, baby.
I know you're
Guns up.
Yeah,
We're in.
Yeah, you're going all the way with them, my friend.
Hey,
What-
listen, I had them. I had them losing to Duke. I'm riding it now. We got Purdue, and then we'll, Nova will probably lose to West Virginia this weekend, so that's fine. It's gonna be great.
I mean, that's going to be the game to watch too. Is Villanova West Virginia? I think that one is going to be probably the best game of the weekend. I'm going to say I think it's going to be better than Duke Syracuse, which I know that for the panel.
You hurt. Listen,
Yeah.
man. Ah.
No, state your case. State your case.
Listen, man. Hey, if the shoe fits in Cinderella, we're still dancing, baby. So we're gonna ride this magic as far as we can. And for whatever reason, you know how it is, man. This tournament has been so weird. You're gonna get something like Nevada Cuse in the final. Something so weird, and you're gonna go. "Ah."
If that happens, I want a live camera feed on Vegas.
Hey, as I told you last week, my Syracuse bracket that I jokingly make every year winning it all is actually looking a lot better than the one I made.
That is
Which
true.
Which is sad to think, but it is true. It is actually doing a lot better.
We'll say, speaking of Vegas, shout out to the guy. I saw a thing on Twitter. Shout out to the guy who put an $800 bet on UMBC to win straight up. Oh,
Shoot.
Lord, he made out well.
That is some stones right there.
He made out well.
So obviously we are now here, gentlemen. We are in the Sweet 16. Moving forward, obviously, if we were to redo our brackets, because of course that's what the big joke is all over the internet is, oh look, now we have a second chance tournament because everybody's brackets literally exploded. Where do we go from here?
I still take Duke.
Yeah, I'm still Duke.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Duke at all. I mean, I still think. I mean, my one side of the bracket's all right with Duke and Villanova. My other one is I had Gonzaga going against Arizona. So I mean, 3 of my 4 finals are still okay. But I mean, who knows? I mean, you can say it all looks good on paper, but until they get on the court. And the thing is, the lower seeded teams are really stepping up. I mean, some of them aren't winning it at all, but there are a lot more closer games than I think than years past. And I think that just shows the quality of talent that all schools are getting now.
And I think also, too, I mean, personally, I've caught myself watching some of these games. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this Nevada game. I find some of these games to be more – I mean, look how close these games are. You look at the Syracuse game, that's against Michigan State. I mean, that's a 2-point game there. All these games are so close. Like I don't care about these big blowouts anymore. I love watching these underdogs play. I find their games to be a lot more interesting. Nevada came back from 22 yesterday.
I was watching UMBC versus Kansas State the other night, not because I care about either team, but heck, UMBC beat a number 1 seed, and who's to say they couldn't do it again?
Of course you're going to watch that game. Are you kidding me? A 16 seed in the Sweet 16? Of course I was pulling for that. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah. Of course you go for the underdog. I mean, that's the typical story of the tourney is you find a team that you just lock onto and root for. And, I mean, UMBC, they went a lot further than most people had them going for. Nevada, I think, was the most impressive, though, coming back from 22 down.
Unreal.
Ooh. Yeah, against the number 2 seed. I mean, granted, I had Georgia State beating Cincinnati the first round. Obviously, I was wrong about that, but it's still impressive, though, nevertheless, for Nevada getting there. And, I mean, I think that'll be the battle of the underdogs between them and Loyola Chicago this week. I think that's going to be a tough one to watch because you want to see both teams do well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna revamp here, I'm going all in on Cuse. I'm going all in on my boys in Texas Tech. No, I cannot still name anybody. Dan, I hope you're gonna get a good laugh at this, big guy. I'm all in. I still don't know the coach. I'm gonna be flat out honest. I don't know the coach. I don't know their shooting guard. I don't know the best person on their team. Take them. Told you.
Daniel John has a new blog on the website for rolling those dice, and he has his updated bracket as well. But going forward, though, I think we got a lot of great games this weekend. I'm still taking Duke over Cuse all day, every day.
Stop yourself. Listen. Get off that high horse.
And I guess if I have to make my pick for the final matchup now, I'm going to take Duke versus Gonzaga.
Okay.
Pat, what do you got for that?
Oh, I don't even know. I picked North Carolina to win. That's out. I feel like if I pick anybody else, it's going to get bounced.
Listen,
all the way to the end.
Pat, it doesn't matter. Just ride the train here. Nevada, Cuse, final. This bracket has been so gnarly as it is. It's just going to get even worse.
I'll go with this. I'll go Duke, Kentucky.
Fair enough.
Match of blue.
A lot of good matchups this week. So let us know what you think. Hashtag ODPH. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're now on iTunes. That's right. The Ocho Duro Parlay Hour is now on iTunes. So download, rate, and subscribe. Spread the word, and thank you for listening to the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour.
I'm the street light guiding you home. Avoid the wrong step into.
Coming back for the second segment on this week's ODPH, and there was, to say the least, a great deal of NFL free agency moves that are now official. Some surprising, some we kind of had an idea what was going to happen. Pat, what was your biggest move of the NFL free agency thus far?
Has to be Kirk Cousins signing with Minnesota for guaranteed money. Game changer.
Hell yeah.
Incredible.
Like, and I'm not just saying that because, it's Cousins going to Minnesota. It's guaranteed money.
The amount that's guaranteed for the contract. And, JR, do you want to just break down that contract? It's your boys.
Hey, listen, it's no big deal. It's only a little $84 million, all 100% guaranteed. Checks don't bounce up in Minnesota, so don't worry about that. It's all straight cash. 3 years, $84 million. Incentives. Wait, this even gets better. If you read into the nitty-gritties, incentives push that contract about 94.
Oof.
You're welcome.
Oof.
But you know what? But you know what, though? They wanted Cousins as their quarterback. He was going to be the face of the franchise. They got him.
They gave him a deal that any other team would look at and go, yeah, we're not going to compete with that.
Oh, no. I mean, but that just shows how much faith they have in Cousins that he's the guy to lead him to the Super Bowl.
Hey, for what it's worth, of course, you hear all the rumors afterwards and the whole 9 yards, and they make it out to look like it's a better deal and whatever. But Kirk Cousins' agent said that they were not going to name teams, but they were offered more money at bigger contracts from elsewhere. They just didn't mention teams. So hold that for what it's worth. Of course, it's probably just, I had a $200 million contract I turned down because I really want to be a Viking. Take it for what you will. $84 million is still going in the checkbook next 3 years.
It could be blowing smoke there, but you're going back to the major point, though. He wanted to go to Minnesota because he felt that they had the best chance to win. Because even if you're offered more money, if you go to a team for the money, you're not expecting to win. If you're going there because you think that they have a chance to get you to the Super Bowl, you might take quote-unquote less money, but 84 is still nothing to sneeze at by any means.
100% guaranteed.
Well, so, he might have been offered bigger money from other teams, but I guarantee you it wasn't all guaranteed.
No, probably not. I mean, it's just in the era of the salary cap, and the NFL has the best salary cap going, that this is kind of puzzling, I guess. Not that he's not worth the deal, but it's just kind of, you don't really hear 84 guaranteed.
Not in the NFL.
Up front like that.
Or of a contract that is 100% guaranteed.
Yeah. That
right out of the box.
Lord have mercy.
You don't hear. I mean, hey, good for him. So congratulations on pulling that deal off. The other team that I thought had a really good free agency is the Cleveland Browns.
They had a good 30 minutes.
I still
Straight.
think, yeah. When they decided to just completely revamp their offense
in 30 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, they wasted no time, and I think it kind of says what they're going to do in the draft, but I'm still not sure.
See, I thought I knew every time they'd announce a deal, I was like, they're going to do this in the draft. And then they do something that would completely upend that thought I just had.
Well, I know getting Tyrod Taylor from the Buffalo Bills, that's a huge step up for them. They moved DeShone Kizer to Green Bay.
Yep.
And they have Jarvis Landry now in Cleveland, so giving him a nice compliment to Josh Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
So Cleveland on paper stepping in the right direction. I know last year they lost a couple close games that would have changed maybe the dynamic of the culture over there, but their new GM is making some moves to really get them to step in the right direction. I think they made some smart moves, and looking at the draft, I mean, I think they take Barkley number one. That's what I would do, but I'm not so sure because looking at what other teams like the Jets did, which they traded with the Colts pretty much their entire first 2-3 rounds.
Something like that, it was insane.
Yeah, to move up to the number 3 position, they're all looking at these quarterbacks coming out, Rosen, Allen, and Darnold, and Mayfield too. You got to remember he's in the mix. It's really kind of showing that teams are having a lot of faith that these guys are going to be the future stars of the NFL. But first-round quarterbacks are always a hit and miss.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough to say, like, this is a surefire guarantee. You think so on paper because you watch enough college tape that they would be. Cleveland has a lot of different opportunities at the number 1 pick.
Yeah, they do.
They can go with Barkley, or they could think that they'll get him at number 4 if they stay there. and they could take either any choice of their quarterbacks at number 1. Because with the Giants still at number 2 as we're recording, you have the Jets at 3, and then Cleveland's back at 4. Well, the Jets have moved up to get a quarterback. That's the only thing I could see them doing. I'm not sure who.
Yeah, they want somebody. They like what they see, and they want him badly.
Yeah. And I think that they're getting very nervous that a team, maybe the Buffalo Bills, are going to try trading up to go get somebody as well. I don't know. I know the Bills did make some moves, sending Corey Glenn to Cincinnati for the 12th pick overall and a couple different picks here and there. But still, I'm not really sold on what the quarterbacks are going to be doing, especially with all the free agent moves that happen. Jay, you have any thoughts?
Just for what it's worth, I did read, courtesy of ESPN, they had an article, the way too early but still kind of curious projection for teams. Mm-hmm. Cleveland have over under 4.5 wins.
Interesting.
Well, I don't think you pencil them in for the Super Bowl just yet. But
No.
Super early. I mean, this was right in the middle of free agency, so I mean, again, adding pieces the whole 9 yards. But I just find that kind of interesting. I'm looking at it and like, okay, you add all these pieces. You've got Tyrod. Regardless of who you take, I mean, to me, I think Cleveland's a surefire for a Barkley. I don't know how you let him go.
On paper, they seem good. And I say that because you think in years past, outside of the draft and the laundry list of quarterbacks they've drafted that are no longer with the team, to me, at least on the surface, it seems like they're kind of sitting on their laurels. They're not really doing anything in terms of free agency. They're just kind of, okay, we got a guy here. Well, it is what it is. They're making moves. They got a plan. They're sticking to that plan. So on paper, barring injuries or anything weird happening, they should have a good season.
I mean, they'll compete. I mean, overall, that's what you want to do. You ultimately want to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, is it enough moves to get them there? Not this season, I don't think.
No.
Not yet, but
no.
Crazier things have happened.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So with this upcoming draft, obviously we've all seen what the Colts got for the 3rd overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
Swapping with the Jets. They swapped the first round. They swapped each other's first rounds. Now they've got, 3 picks in the top 51?
37th and 49th, if I'm not 100% sure. I'm not looking at a computer right now about that.
But still, I mean, so they've gotten that. So now, as a Buffalo fan, you need a quarterback. You've seen the price tag for 3. Do you guys move up to 2? You guys gonna go up there and try and make a little noise, get a little hot and heavy in the draft for a QB?
Unless they're sold, like 100%, that's our guy.
Are you sold?
Am I? No, not in the least.
So you're okay with where you are right now?
Absolutely. I am perfectly fine being at 12 because
I'm saying with your quarterback situation as it is.
Oh, my quarterback situation is, well, we got A.J. McCarron, who's going to be the mentor for whoever is going to be the next guy. I mean, I think it's not to say that McCarron is going to be the long-term answer, but he's an adequate quarterback for what they need. They do still have Peterman, who I still think can be a good NFL quarterback. I know that game against San Diego, he had a lot of interceptions, but if you really watch the tape, yeah, he had 5.
Just count out.
But if you watch the tape,
5 in the first half,
3 of which his arm was hit when he was throwing the ball, and the other 2 I believe were dropped. So it's not to say that it's all on him, because he did show signs later in the season when he was in that he could actually be adequate for the quarterback position. I think you should still give him another shot, but if they're all in on somebody, and I mean, I just don't see it in this draft per se unless it's Josh Allen of Wyoming. You stay at 12.
Yeah, there's a lot of – if I'm a general manager of an NFL team who's got a mid to late first-round pick, I'm looking at this class of quarterbacks. None of them – they've got potential, but there's nobody I'm quite looking at that, I got to sell the farm to go get this guy.
That's what I'm saying too.
Yeah.
That I don't think there's a guy that is really standing out that's like an Andrew Luck. I mean, who's, I believe, the last real big name of the first-round quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Or first number 1 overall, rather. That's what I'm saying with this. I mean, I think there are some good players, but you just don't know. Plus, I also look at how many of them have won bowl games. How many of them have had dominant winning records. That's what I'm looking at. So it's kind of tough to say. But, I mean, who knows? But as a Bills fan, I'm perfectly fine staying where I am and seeing what I can get. Or if I move up, I don't think you got to get into the top 3. I mean, you could get into maybe the top 10. See what you can get for 7th, 8th pick.
So because I find this nosy and I'm super interested in it about it, the super way too early projection for your team, you finish at what? Just right now, today, are you in the playoffs?
Yes. Wild card.
Stop. Really? You think so?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you do have Shady.
we have Shady. We still have
Enough said. You have a Shady.
We have Shady, and we have our defense. And if Jacksonville has shown us anything, if you have a good defense and a good runner,
If you can stop a Blake Bortles, then
Yeah.
you're good.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. They're going to need to work on that. But I think that this is where you get your offseason. I mean, they've made some tweaks here and there. I mean, obviously losing Eric Wood is going to be the biggest thing. So I think that in your later first round pick, you go get a center. I think you have to. That is the only surefire thing I know. But I think that they do sneak in the playoffs. I mean, I don't. They made it this year, and granted, I think they do have the potential to get back there.
Pat, I don't even want to ask you what you think of your over-under for your team. It's probably like 14 wins because it's by default.
Yeah, something like that. I'm just
12, 13 wins or whatever, another boring season for
Yeah,
us.
I'm just looking at the NFL draft order here, though. Getting back to Ken's being okay with where they are. I'm just looking at the draft order in terms of who needs a quarterback. Okay, you got the Cleveland Browns number 1. Sure, they could use one. Giants, not necessarily, but it wouldn't hurt. Jets, well, they're the Jets. Cleveland, yeah, they could use one. But Denver doesn't need one. Indy doesn't need one. Tampa doesn't need one. Chicago doesn't need one. San Francisco, nope. Oakland, nope. After that, you've got the Miami Dolphins, who I don't know what the deal is with Jay Cutler. He was only a 1-year deal, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Miami goes against the quarterback.
Because
Miami-
Tannehill's back.
I still think they get one.
Miami's your Miami, and then you've got Buffalo. So, out of the top 3, you're not running into a team that really needs a quarterback desperately until you hit number 11.
And with Miami, I mean, you don't really know what they're doing. I mean, they let go.
No.
Dominican Sue got released. They traded Landry to Cleveland.
Yep.
I mean, they're kind of a really questionable team right now because you don't know the direction they're going in. And I think that's going to be kind of something to watch. But other free agency moves, though, that I think have really helped, I think the Giants would get Nate Soldier from New England. That'll help them out huge. Jordy Nelson going to Oakland.
Thank God.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to
Get him out of the division.
You have to
word.
be ecstatic about that.
Right, but,
Yes.
but now you got to deal with Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, I don't care about that.
Like, I get his time in New Orleans, or where was it? Seattle?
Seattle, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Seattle wasn't all that great, but just the thought of him with Aaron Rodgers, oh my Lord.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
We'll have to see what happens. But going into the draft, there's a lot of teams that have a lot of promise moving forward. So now with free agency done, it's just a matter of waiting and seeing what happens. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on the hashtag ODPH. What was the biggest free agency move of the NFL thus far? And what do you think that your team is going to do for the draft? We want to know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Brian Wolf from Fair City Fire. You are listening to ODPH, the greatest podcast in Binghamton.
Woo!
Hot lips touching, cool thighs feeling, shawty running up, her spine spinning, long day to a long night, but I'm not stopping.
Coming back for the
till I
third
get it.
segment on this week's ODPH, and we got a little NBA action to talk about. Well, dare I say, some players are not going to be seeing action for a little bit. Golden State is now bit with the injury bug.
Yeah, they're taking a few bumps and bruises along the way, such as with the NBA season.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Steph Curry's been banged up a little bit. Klay Thompson was hurt, and now I'm reading reports of Kevin Durant is going to be out at least 2 weeks with a rib injury.
Yeah, Curry's been having this something with his ankle all season, it feels like. He missed a stretch early in the season. It was like 13, 14 games, something like that. Came back, missed another stretch, came back, missed a stretch. So he's been something with his ankle all season, and I'm pretty sure it's the same ankle. It's not like, oh, it's his right one, and then all of a sudden he does it to his left one. So that's never good when it's your leader.
No, and then when your next best player is now hurt, and he's out at least 2 with a rib injury, and I think he comes back just a couple days before the playoffs are going to start.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that Curry went down most recently with, again, his plaguing ankle injury, I remember reading an article or seeing somebody go, hey, well, at least they've got Kevin Durant, and really good that Kevin Durant is stepping up in the leadership position. Well, there went that idea.
Well, I mean, I think Golden State is going to be seasoned enough that it will impact them absolutely, but I don't think it's going to hurt him that badly. And I think with Houston now, with this injury going on with Durant, do you think they're a lock for the number 1 seed in the West? I know they're up a couple games on Golden State.
They are up 3 games.
But do you think this is now enough that they could put a lock on that?
Given the injury bug and kind of just Golden State doesn't seem as dominant as they have in years past, and it not as much of a surefire thing as the last couple of years you'd watch the season and just how well Golden State was playing, in the win streak notwithstanding. You just look and go, yeah, they're going to make it to the finals. It's just a matter of them beating whoever they go up against in the playoffs. That to me doesn't seem as much of a surefire thing. To me, it seems like it's Houston's road to the championship.
Houston's just playing at such an elite level that this year it really kind of just doesn't seem like Golden State is just going to mow over everybody. I mean, the West has gotten a lot better, and I think two teams that are sneaking up on everybody, Portland and Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And I mean Oklahoma City is sneaking up now because beginning of the season it was looking very murky, that you were not sure what you were having down there. They were not gelling as quickly as they should have been between Melo, George, and Russell. But now they're like a fine-tuned machine. And now they've gotten to the 4th seed, if I'm looking at NBA.com correctly, for the standings in the Western Conference. So if they can maintain that level and stay around there, I think that they can do some damage.
So, yeah, they're coming together at the right time because I'm looking at the Ken, you're looking at the standings, correct?
Correct.
Where are the Toronto Raptors in the Eastern Conference?
Toronto is the number 1 seed currently in the East.
On Sunday, March 18th, the Oklahoma City Thunder played said Toronto Raptors, beat them 132 to 125.
Wow.
Yeah. So I know we thought there were some questions and whether they were going to gel or not. They seem to be figuring it out and going about it in well fashion.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Going into the playoffs and the final stretch of the season, you definitely want to keep your players motivated and keep them playing at a high level. You don't want to have a situation where they're just looking to get in the playoffs and kind of see where they go. Better seeding is obviously more beneficial to them, and especially in the West because the West is the toughest division in the league. That you definitely want to get a good position. I don't think anybody really wants to face Houston first round. I know it's looking like Minnesota, which, I mean, Minnesota will show up for it. I don't think there's any indication of them backing down by any means.
No, they'll show up for it. And I'm looking at Oklahoma's schedule coming up. It's not like they've got an easy schedule. They've got a game in Boston. They play Miami at home. They play Portland at home, San Antonio, Denver, New Orleans, Golden State, Houston. It's not an easy schedule.
No, it definitely is not. And I mean, for Oklahoma City, for them to keep in the playoff race there, because after Golden State and Houston, there is a drop in the wins, like how close every team is.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, Portland is 44-26. Minnesota is 40-31 as we're taping on Monday. They're all separated just by a few games.
Yeah.
So seeding could go any type of way.
Well, and you know how the NBA playoffs work, much like March Madness. Just because you got a team that's number 1 overall seed in the conference doesn't mean they're going to win.
No, definitely not. And I think there's a lot more parity in the Western Conference than people realize.
Yeah.
I think one thing that slipped under the radar is Portland's won 13 in a row.
Oh, yeah.
And they're getting hot at the right time to lock up that 3rd seed. I think everybody else kind of has to keep up. But, I mean, the West is definitely pulling off some win streaks, though. And going into the playoffs, I mean, I still think it's Houston's to lose. I don't see them getting knocked out. I think that Harden and Chris Paul and company are ready enough to make that statement, and I think they're at that level where they can get over the Golden State, mystique, that this is their time to win.
They've been close the last couple of years because I know there was an article, I want to say it was a week or two ago, where they were addressing, they were looking back at that playoff matchup that Houston had with Golden State a couple of years ago. And I believe it was Draymond Green said, listen, don't sleep on Houston. We got lucky beating them.
Yeah.
They've known, like Golden State at least has known that Houston's been coming for a couple of years.
And I think that as we've been talking about free agency and players getting at it, I don't think any player has had more of an impact going to a team than Chris Paul going to Houston.
No, that's been game-changing for them.
I think it's taken a lot of pressure off James Harden.
James Harden is still putting up ridiculous numbers, but yeah, he doesn't feel that need to, I've got to be the facilitator, I've got to be the guy who gets the steals, gets the rebounds, gets the shots, the other. He can now take a step back and go, I can play my game, step up when I need to, but I don't have to do it all.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good burden for him not to have.
And it's a guy he knows he can trust because Chris Paul, it's not exactly his first trip around the block.
Absolutely. When you have a seasoned veteran that can take a lot of pressure off you of putting up points and making plays happen, that is a huge burden off your shoulders.
Absolutely.
And then looking at the East in comparison, I mean, you have Toronto, Boston, Cleveland is obviously going to be in there. And I know that, unfortunately, Tyronn Lue has to step down for health reasons, so we wish him a speedy, healthy recovery. But with Cleveland, I think they'll be okay going into the playoffs. And looking at the rest of the East, I mean, it's kind of wide open on the lower half. I mean, everybody's predicting Boston is going to run away with it. I don't think it's going to happen like that.
No, I mean, Toronto's currently sitting 52-18 and 5 games up on Boston. So don't sleep on Toronto.
No, Toronto, I mean, they've been in contention past couple of years. I know they had some roster moves, but they're still there. And they could still make some noise. I mean, it's not to say it's Boston's to lose. I don't think the mystique is there in comparison, like with Golden State in the West. You know that the West is pretty much their division. In the East, it's still wide open.
Yeah, who knows? There's a lot of time between now and when the NBA playoffs start. A lot can change.
Absolutely. And with LeBron James playing at such a high level as he's doing in, his 15th year in the league?
Yep.
Anything is possible. Let us know what you think. Hashtag ODPH. Do you think Houston's going to run away with the West, or is some other team going to take the crown from them? We want to know. Hit us up. We'll be right back.
It's a heartbreak, soul-shaped radio tank, taking 4 steps forward, no steps back.
Hey, this is Vince the Common Man Ciatoy, local MMA fighter, telling you to keep on listening to the ODPH, the 607's up-and-coming newest podcast.
We knew right where we'd be, floating on the airwaves, you see. It's a heartbreak, soul-shaped radio tank, taking 4 steps forward and no steps back. We knew
Coming back
right
with a
where
local minute on this week's ODPH before we close out rounding those bases. And we have to give a shout out yet again to those Binghamton Bulldogs.
Woo!
Going to the Elite 8 of the ABA, Texas bound. Congratulations, guys. Definitely nice job this season. And they were winners this past Saturday over the Jersey Express, 111-102. Jimmy Gray with 28 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Kai Sutton has got 20 points and 5 rebounds. And Ralph Bucci had 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. So you know what? If they keep this up, I'm saying we're going to bring a championship home, maybe, perhaps. I think so. More information is coming out on BinghamtonBulldogs.com. We do not know when their next game is going to be. However, they are going to be traveling to Texas, so we want to wish the best of luck to the guys. Bring home that chip. We definitely need it here in the 6-0 Lucky.
Yeah.
So going into the rounding those bases, to take us home on this week's ODPH, Pad, what do you got?
Well, Jose Altuve, star second baseman of the Houston Rockets, the world champion Houston Rockets, got PAID, paid.
Break it down for us.
They announced that they are giving him a 5-year, $151 million extension, which in turn is going to jump Houston's payroll to 5th in all of Major League Baseball. Whoa, boy. But I would say for this, a lot of money, well-deserved, well-earned. Been with that team for a long time, put in a lot of hours, a lot of time. He's definitely earned it.
He's homegrown talent, correct?
Yes.
So he's arguably the closest thing they have to Craig Biggio.
I would say so.
He's been there many a year, so hey, congratulations to him on that contract. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see if they can repeat that title. JR, what you got?
Okay, so Pat and I actually discussed this, and I was more so taken aback by it because I found it borderline unbelievable. I think I'm going to be watching for is the UConn women basketball team.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you saw this massacre that was opening day. Did you see this?
Yeah, they said.
I'm going to stop you there. Massacre's putting it lightly.
Yeah, so just a little fun fact here. So UConn, real quick, played St. Francis, the 116 matchup, right? Spread of that game, 50.5.
That's being generous.
And they covered by over 31.
They covered
31. They blew 88 points. They completely obliterated. St. Francis scored 4 in the fourth quarter of that absolute debacle that was. What was it, 140 to 52?
140 to, I believe it was 52 or 58, yeah.
Shoot, man.
UConn women set a women's NCAA record for most points in a quarter, most points in a half, most points in a game, and most assists in a game.
Well,
unbelievable.
That just goes to show you what kind of program they have it on at UConn, which they have been dominant for years. And, this is just another example. I mean, I'm not fazed by it. I mean, I am very shocked at the score, but Gino and company down there have always ran an elite program, and it is the benchmark for the college women's basketball program.
It's like, 'cause, yeah, usually you look at teams and programs that they'll have a dominant few years, they'll have a run, but then there's kind of a few years where they're on the way back. That it feels like it's been 10, 15 years.
Yeah, they just stay consistently elite. I mean, that's the honest way to describe it.
Like, it's not without, they haven't won every year. They've lost a few years, and there's been upset a few years.
Yeah.
But by and large, every year it's their number one. Who's going to beat them?
Yeah, and I think that just goes to show you what a fine job they're doing down there, because they're always getting in a new rush of talent. They're always producing at a high level, and, I mean, the scores go to say it. I mean, this is kind of out of the ordinary for this score, but it just shows you when they get clicking, look out.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I couldn't help but watch because it was honestly it was just unbelievable. So now I'm kind of watching them because, if anything else, it's made a little bit more fury. I mean, they've got Quinnipiac coming up this week. They've got the 8 seed. It's in UConn, so I mean, it's hard not to get up for that game. But shoot, man, that's why I was watching. I'm like, whoo, that's called being the unanimous number one right there.
Yeah, but you know what? They prove it. They back it up every year. Every year. So
when you literally in one NCAA game shatter every scoring record, every rebounding record, it's okay.
You can't do nothing but tip your hat and just watch in awe.
Yep. Thanks for the show, because that was quite the onslaught. So, but I will definitely be following that because I'm super intrigued. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Well, it's always something to watch. I mean, blowouts are never really fun, but
No.
to watch a team operate at that level,
Sure.
and that's pretty much flawlessly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something to see.
And let's be real, my women's bracket that I filled out with UConn winning it all, still looking really good.
Yeah, mine too.
A heck of a lot better than my men's bracket, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens this weekend with the men's tourney. But yeah, the women's one is UConn still. That's my number one to win it all, so we'll have to wait and see. To close out the show, rounding the bases and coming home, my pick is 17 days away till the Rumble Ponies decide to grace us at Nice Egg Stadium.
Yeah.
Kicking off the baseball season down here in the 6-0 Lucky. Can't wait to see. Haven't heard the final roster yet, but I'm waiting to see if one name is going to be added.
No, stop teasing that garbage.
TR?
Yeah.
Timothy Richard?
TR.
He's going to be a Firefly.
Hey,
Stop.
if he's here,
They
Look
kicked
out.
him out of baseball. He couldn't bat. He was 1 for 18. Settle down.
They didn't kick him out. They just sent
They
him down.
kicked him out.
They sent him down to minor league training camp.
yeah.
That's called getting kicked out. You were given the boot. You cannot bat in the majors. It's proof. You struck out 13 times in 18 at-bats, and you had a single that was helped by with an error.
We shall see, nevertheless. But the Ponies are back in 17 days as we're recording.
Big boys back in 10.
We can't wait to see them. And then 10 days, the big boys are back. Next week's show, we're definitely going to be breaking down our predictions for the Major League Baseball season coming up. So stay tuned for that. And that's all we got for this week's ODPH. So for the intern himself, Padawan J, the sound guy galore, JR, I'm your host, Ken M. Go Duke. We'll see you next time. And as always, thank you for listening to the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour.